Alright, this is part 2 of chapter 5.4. In the last video, we began to talk about decimals and how decimals with numbers to the left of the decimal and the numbers to the right of the decimal would be very similar to a mixed number with integer and um, uh, fraction, okay? So this is an integer but with a decimal number, with a point and then numbers after the decimal, okay? And then I talked about kind of how you move the decimal from its original position and then you move it back to the left, okay? Depending on how big the number is in the denominator, okay? So what that means is um, if you watched the video before, you know that when you have something like 1 divided by 1,000, you're going to put a 1 here, and then you can always say that there's a decimal point after the 1. It's just imaginary or something you don't put there. You don't need to because it's not something that's needed. But when you're trying to figure out where to put the decimal, then it's kind of good to put it there. And then so what you do is you look at how many zeros are in the number in the denominator. All right. So this is 1,000. 1,000 has 3 zeros, and you move therefore the decimal 3 positions to the left. All right. Okay, like that, and then you put the zeros in, okay? Now the book teaches something a little different. It says for this same 1, you'd have 1 here, and then you have this decimal here, and then you're going to move the 1 to the right. So you're going to move it 1, 2, 3, and then you can put the 1 here, and then you're going to put this there and this there, and then it'd be the same as this, right? And then this 1 would be erased, or you just rewrite the whole number as 0.001, okay? So it's the same, you get the same answer, but it's just done differently. I think my way is more intuitive, and this is not as intuitive, but if you like this way better, go ahead and do it that way, all right? The book also talked about in 305 how we, and in the last video we talked about it as well, how we have numbers to the left, all right, of the decimal, and this would be the ones unit, tens unit, 100 unit, and 1,000 unit. And we talked about this in other videos before, all right. And then the numbers to the right would be tens and tenths and 100ths and 1,000ths and 10,000ths and so forth and so forth and so forth, okay? And the book says that the decimals are powers of 10 in the denominator, meaning we had 1 divided by 1,000, right? So we had thousands right here. Boom, boom, boom. That's 3 numbers to the right of the decimal, and that corresponds with the 3 zeros, okay? Well, another power of 10 would be just 10 right here. And then if we rewrote that, it'd be 1, and we'd move that decimal back like that, and so the answer would just be 0.1, okay? And this is where it kind of gets confusing in the book. That's why I didn't mention it first, but I thought I'd mention it now. See, this is the power of 10. This is 1 to the power of 10, and you move it back 1, okay? And then this right here, let's erase all this. All right. 1 to the power, 1 divided by 1,000 can be rewritten as 1 to the power of 3. And this 3 corresponds also to the number of places that this decimal moves back. All right, so remember the answer was this, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so this is just another way of looking at it. So this equals 0.001, okay? And indeed, this 3 also corresponds with the fact that there's 3 numbers after the decimal point, okay? So anyway, it's however you want to look at it. You can write the whole number out. You can write it as a power of 10. Power of 10 to the 10 to the power of 3 is 1,000. 1,000, if 1 divided by 1,000 equals this, and 1 divided by 10 to the third power equals this. It's the same thing, okay? Anyhow, I just wanted to clarify that. If you're reading in the book and you're wondering why I didn't talk about this, it's because this is a little bit confusing. So I just didn't want to talk about it, but then some of you may be watching the video and want to know what that all means. So anyway, now let's talk about 1. So 1a, we have 1 over 1,000. Well, we already did this. We know what it equals. It equals 0.001, okay? But what about 1 over 10,000 on 1b, okay? 10,000. Well, how many zeros are in 10,000? There's 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 zeros. So we can do it this 2 different ways. We can do it the way that I mentioned before. You have the decimal here, and you just move it back. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then write in the zeros in this place. Or, what we could do, if you can kind of think in this same, you can kind of see the pattern here. There's what? There's 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros, and there's just this 1 right here, and there's just 1 right here. So you could have started from here instead. You could have put point 0, 0, 0. There's 3 zeros and then a 1, and that would correspond with how many zeros there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, and how many numbers after the decimal point? 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can actually start with the zeros first, or the decimal point, and then the zeros. You don't have to start with the 1 and then reverse. You can start here and then kind of move forward, okay? All right, so let's look at C. That's 7 divided by 1,000. Okay. Well, we're just going to write 0.00, and there's 3 zeros, right? 1, 2, 3, 7. Now there's 3 numbers after this decimal. 1, 2, 3. And so that is the answer. Now let's look at D. D is 13 over 100. Okay. Well, again, we look at the zeros. How many zeros are there? There's 1, 2. So we could just put a point there, and then 1, 3. That is how many numbers there's after the decimal. Well, there's 2 numbers after the decimal. 1, 2. And if that doesn't make sense, then we can do it the way I've taught you before, which is you start with a 13, the decimal's here, and you move it back however many zeros there are. There's 2 zeros there, so you go 1, 2, and here's the decimal. So again, it's 0.13. Oops, not 17, 13. Okay, and then we went over example 1 in class earlier. I'm not going to go over that again. Well, maybe I will, just real quick. Let's go over that just real quick. So, oops, we don't want that. So let's go over that. Let's move this up. So basically what they're showing you here in example 1 is they're kind of giving you the understanding of what's going on here. They're just kind of repeating what they've already taught before, but they're just wanting to make sure that you get it, okay? So let's do it, and hopefully this may help you if you're not understanding that just yet. So yeah, 7963, okay? All right, so we're kind of working backwards here, okay? Normally, thus far, we've worked with a fraction and we've changed it to a decimal. Well, here we have a decimal, okay? So how would we change this to a fraction? Okay, well, we've already kind of explained that when you have integer to the left, and when you have a decimal, and you have numbers to the right of the decimal, well, then this is a mixed number, and so it's 79, and as the whole number or the integer, and then this would be the fractional part, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and do this. Now, in the book, you'll see that they label this as the ones unit, and this is the tens unit, and then over here is the tenths unit, and the hundredths unit, and the thousandths unit. So we could rewrite this whole problem as 70, all right, plus 9 plus, all right, and then the 6 is in the tenths unit, so we could write this as 6 divided by 10. This is in the hundredths unit, so you could write this as 5 plus that divided by 100. And then this is in the thousandths unit, so we can write this as 3 over 1,000, okay? Well, just like we've seen in earlier mixed number problems, when we have a mixed number, we want to write out the integer part first. Well, this is the integer part, so that's 79, okay? And then we want to address the issue here. What's the common denominator? We can't plus this together until we have the common denominator, and that is what? That's 1,000. So we need to multiply this by 100. Let's multiply that by 100, and 100 as well here. And then we need to multiply this by 10, and this by 10, and then we just leave this here. So let's change this now. So this is going to be 600 over 1,000 plus this is going to be 50 over 1,000, and this is just going to be 3 over 1,000. And then when we add them together, we're going to get what? We're going to get 600 plus 50 plus 3, so that's 653 all over 1,000. All right, and then we bring down that 79, so that is the answer, 79 and 653 thousandths, okay? So that is the answer right there. All right. Let's go on to 2 and 3, but let's pause here and then we'll make another video for 2 and 3. Here we go.